Okay, so somebody just said something about you in a room full of people, and it isn't true. Here's what you say. That's a big claim to make in a room this size. What's the specific? That's it. That's the whole sentence, 14 words. Now, you can have that right now and stop watching, and you can still be better off than you were in that meeting. But I want to give you 3 things that you do not have yet. Number 1, there's a reason why you couldn't think of anything to say in that room. And I need you to hear me that it's not confidence, it's not intelligence, it's not that you're bad at this. It's mechanical. It happens to almost everybody. And once you know what it is, you can beat it on purpose. I'll show you exactly what happened inside your head. And number 2, the person who set you up made one mistake in that room. One. And I bet money you missed it because it's the last thing that looks like a mistake. It's the thing that hands you the entire meeting if you know how to reach for it. And number 3, there are 5 sentences in this video, not just one. And the 5th matters the most because the first 4 end the attack. And the 5th one makes sure that nobody in that building ever tries that with you again. Okay? That's the one at the end. So let's go. Okay. First, let's name it because most people never do. And you can't fight a thing that you have not yet named. What happened was, this wasn't an argument. I want to be really clear about that because you probably spent the last couple of days replaying it as an argument and then grading your own performance. You did not lose an argument. You were not in one. What happened to you was what I call the setup. And the setup has 3 parts. Watch how precise this is, okay? Part 1, it's public. Not accidentally public, chosen public. If they wanted to solve a problem with you, there is a door, there is a hallway, there is a phone. They did not use any of those. They waited for a room. Part 2, it's vague. There have been some concerns. This keeps happening. People have noticed. Notice what's missing? There's no Tuesday. There's no email. There's no moment. There's no behavior. Longtime viewers, you know what I called it. That's what is called the fog. Part 3, it's timed. It lands when you can't check anything, can't produce anything, and can't take a minute. Right before a decision. Right at the end, when everybody wants to leave. Public, vague, and timed. Public, vague, timed. They don't want to be understood. They just want to look that way. People who want understanding ask questions. People who want control make accusations, and they make them in front of an audience. So the first thing that I want to give you is this. And I want you to actually take it, okay? You did not lose that meeting because you're weak. You got hit with something that was engineered by somebody who had time to build it while you had 2 seconds to receive it. That's not fair. That's not the same job, okay? Which brings me to a second sentence, okay? This is almost too small to believe, but when it lands, when your chest drops and your face goes hot and there's nothing in your mouth, you say, hold on. I want to get this right. Now, watch the down notes. Hold on. I want to get this right. You use this when the floor drops and you have no words, okay? Then you stop talking and you breathe once. I call this the clock because that's all it does. It buys you 2 seconds. That's it. That's the whole tactic. And I know 2 seconds sounds like it's not a whole lot, but stay with me because in about 90 seconds, I'm going to show you what your brain is physically doing during those 2 seconds. And you're going to understand why they are the most valuable 2 seconds of your entire career. Here's why it's legal. By the way, why nobody in that whole room could object to what you're doing. You didn't refuse. You didn't deflect. You didn't get defensive. You said you want to get it right. Try to attack a person for that. You can't. It sounds like integrity and it functions like a stall. Now, here's why you went blank to begin with, okay? This is what actually is happening in that room. And I want to be careful here because I'm not going to give you a brain scan. I'm going to give you a working model. But it's a model that will change what you do the next time this happens to you. The instant that accusation lands in front of witnesses, your body does not process it as a disagreement about a project. It processes it as exposure, public exposure, in front of the people whose opinion determines whether you eat. And your system has one very old, fast response to that. Everything floods to the side of your brain that feels. And almost nothing is left in the side of the brain that speaks. That's what I call the flood, okay? Now, here's the part that people don't usually tell you. The flood is not a malfunction. It's the most sophisticated protective system that we own. And it fired perfectly. It just fired for a threat from about 40,000 years ago. It's built for teeth. It's not built for a conference room. So heat, yes. Heart rate, yes. Language, sequence, specificity, nothing. You had the whole reaction and none of the words. Then you got home and in the car or in the shower and at 2:15 in the morning, the perfect sentence arrives, beautifully constructed. Devastating, 6 hours late. That's not you being slow. That's the flood receding. The words were never gone. They were just on the other side. You ask, the other side of what? Our brain has two halves, right? They are joined physically by a bunch of fibers whose entire job is to carry traffic between them. The feeling side and the speaking side are not the same country. There's a crossing, a bridge between them. I call this crossing the bridge. Everything I teach, everything is really one skill. How to get across that bridge on purpose while you're under fire. Because here's the mechanism. Now, this is the whole video. You do not think your way across a bridge. You talk your way across the bridge. That's the part that's backwards from what everybody believes and most people teach. We all think, calm down first and then speak. Get your head straight, then find the words. That does not work. And it doesn't work because you've tried it, and you tried it in just about every one of these instances. It's the other direction. Producing precise language out loud in sequence is not the result of getting control. It's the act of taking it. The sentence is not what you say once you've crossed. The sentence is the crossing, okay? Which is why a preloaded phrase is worth 100 times more than a good idea. When you are flooded, you can't compose, but you can retrieve. And the moment your mouth starts producing structured words, the traffic moves, heart rate follows, clarity follows. You come back online, and you come back online in front of everybody, which is the only place it counts. That's why, hold on, I want to get this right, is not a stall. It's an on-ramp. See what I'm saying? Now, by the way, this whole thing comes from the system of never defend yourself again. It's linked below in the video. It's the longer version of what we are doing right now. But stay here because the best part is coming. This is the mistake they made. Go back into that room with me, okay? They said something about you. What exactly did they say? I bet you can't produce it, and neither could anybody else in that room. That's the whole point, because there was nothing in it. Some concerns, keeps happening, people have noticed. That's the mistake. And it wasn't sloppiness. It was on purpose. It was necessity. Here's what I'd like you to understand about the fog. Nobody chooses fog when they have facts. Fog is expensive. It's harder to say. It's less persuasive. It's easier to dismiss. A person who has a Tuesday and an email and a moment leads with the Tuesday and the email and the moment, because specifics win every single time. So then when somebody comes at you in public with nothing specific in their hands, they are telling you in front of witnesses that they don't have anything specific. They just told the entire room out loud. Remember, vagueness is not sloppiness. Vagueness is an admission. That's what I call the confession. Their vagueness is the confession. And it's sitting there in the middle of the table, and nobody's picked it up yet. So pick it up. Walk us through it. I'll wait. Walk us through it. I'll wait. Use this when they accuse you of a pattern with no example. That's the handoff. Full stop. And I want you to notice 3 things that I built into it. Walk, not explain, not clarify. Walking is a sequence. Sequence requires steps. Fog has no steps. Us. Not me. Us. You've just handed the whole room to them as an audience, and it's the same audience that they recruited to watch you. Now they're performing in front of it. They already enlisted them. You're just going with that. I'll wait. And then you do. You actually wait. Do not rescue them. This is the hardest 2 seconds in professional communication, and it's also the entire tactic, because the silence is doing work. Let it. Every second that passes, that person is watching somebody who made a serious claim fail to produce a single example of it. You didn't have to attack anybody. You didn't defend anything. You just asked them to do the thing they would have already done if they could. Pattern number 4, the name. Now, if they wriggle, and they often do, they'll say, well, I don't want to make this about specifics. I'm just raising a point. This isn't the forum. That's the moment for the 4th sentence. What concerns me more than the accusation is that it was made this way in this room with nothing specific in it. Use that when they dodge the request for specifics. I call that one the name, because all you're doing is naming what everybody in the room has already noticed and nobody has said. And the second it's named, it can't work anymore. The setup runs by nobody naming it. Notice that you still haven't defended a single thing. You still have not said, that's not true. You still didn't say, well, actually what happened was you never stepped into their courtroom and into the witness box as the defendant. Never. You didn't argue their case badly. You just declined to be tried. So here's the thing about a public ambush that almost nobody gets and why the whole strategy works. You were never the audience. They were never talking to you. If they wanted to reach you, there was a hallway. They were talking to the room. And the room is the only thing in that meeting that's actually deciding anything. And every single person sitting in it is running the same two-sided machine as you are. When an accusation lands in public, everybody's feeling side lights up first. Discomfort, tension, somebody's in trouble. That's involuntary. And that first instant, the room has no idea who the problem is. It just knows there is one. That's the window that the setup exploits. If you go red, if you flood as well, if you scramble, if you defend yourself, the room resolves the tension the fast way. And the fast way is the upset one is the problem. But the person who produces one calm, structured, specific sentence pulls that entire room across the bridge with them. You put language into a room full of feeling. And a room that has language again starts doing arithmetic. And arithmetic is brutal for whoever brought fog to a knife fight. You're not defending yourself. You are conducting the room. That's the whole thing. Not winning against them, choosing which side of the brain resolves this. Whoever speaks in specifics first chooses. Now, everything that I just showed you is the first move of the system. If you want the whole system, every pattern, every situation, for when it's your boss, for when it's in writing, that's the Never Defend Yourself Again course, and the link is in the description. There's 30 seconds left of teaching, then I'm going to give you the fifth sentence, okay? I want to give you this last one that's not so much a tactic. It's the urge to defend yourself, that hot rising feeling of I need to defend myself. It is not a sign that you are under attack. It is a signal, and it's a precise one. We only defend what we believe to be vulnerable. So the question is not, how do I fight back? The question is, what did I just decide was fragile and needs defending? Was it your competence, your reputation, your worth in a room? None of those things were ever in that person's hands. They were never on the table. Whatever's actually you cannot be voted on by 6 people in a conference room at 4 p.m. and it can't be taken by somebody who needed an audience to say a vague sentence. And that person, they're not really fighting you. They're fighting themselves in public, and they just picked your name to do it out loud in front of you. Remember, in your defenselessness, your safety lies not as a nice idea, but as a mechanic. The moment you stop trying to protect things, you stop being reachable. And everybody in that room can see that you've stopped being reachable. That's what they mean when they say that somebody has presence. That's all presence ever was. Which brings us to the 5th sentence, okay? This is the one that ends it for good. Because the first 4 sentences win the meeting. This one wins the whole year. I'm glad to go through this in detail. Put it in writing, and we'll book the time, okay? Make sure to subscribe to this channel and use that to make sure it never happens again. I call that the door, because you're holding it open and pointing at it, and look what it does. It is completely unimpeachably reasonable. Nobody can call that defensive. You just said yes. But you moved the whole thing into writing, and fog cannot survive writing. Fog needs a room, a moment, and a crowd, and a person who can't check anything. On a page with a date on it and a scheduled meeting, when it's time to prepare, there is no ambush left. There's just a claim and a person who has to actually make it. And here's what happens 90% of the time. Nothing. There's no email, no meeting. It was never about the concern. It was about humiliating you. And they now know, and so does everybody who watched, that with you, it goes on paper. That's the last time you get set up. So the next time it happens, and it will happen, here's what you have. Hold on, I want to get this right. That's a big claim to make in a room this size. What's the specific? Walk us through it. I'll wait. Well, what concerns me more than the accusation is that it got made this way. Put it in writing and we'll book a time, okay? All 5 stacked, one on top of the other. And then you stop talking. And underneath all 5 of them, the only sentence that's really doing the work: I have nothing to defend. Not because you're above it, because it's true. And the room can hear the difference. Okay? I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. And if you'd like to know more about the course, you can still get founder pricing, by the way. Click the first link in the description. I'll see you on the inside, okay? Stop defending yourself.